enshrined in Roe v. Wade is gone. It's gone after 50 years. Overturned by the overtly political decision of extremist conservative members of the United States Supreme Court. You know they're supposed to be nonpartisan, right? You know that. When abortion is illegal, women die. The health care of millions will be affected by today's decision. In the last 2 days, this radical Supreme Court has overtly chosen to arm more Americans more easily, and at the same time, remove women's rights. Today's court decision will have dire consequences for the health and freedom of our families, our friends, and our neighbors. The court that does not recognize the full human rights of women is not a legitimate court. Abortion is health care. We will not stop fighting until the right to comprehensive reproductive health care is restored. Remember this, please. Clarence Thomas wrote in this ruling, in his concurrence with today's decision, in future cases, we should reconsider all of this court's substantive due process precedents, including Griswold, Lawrence, Obergefell. Do you know what they are? Right to privacy, right to contraception, and marriage equality.
What about interracial marriage? Seriously. Is he okay with that one? Seriously.
This is a devastating confirmation about what Black and Brown reproductive justice organizers have been sounding the alarms about for years. The court will stop at nothing to strip away our reproductive freedom. Forced birth in a country, get this, forced birth, we have no universal health care, we have no universal child care, we have no paid family and medical leave. One of the highest rates of maternal mortality among rich nations is in the United States. It's not about life, it's about control. It's about controlling our bodies. You know, we need to be very, very clear here. This is a gaping wound in American democracy. When more than half of U.S. citizens are legally denied access to necessary medical care, we're not a democracy. When the Supreme Court justices lie, we are not a democracy. Everyone who is not white, straight, male, and cis is at greater risk today because of this decision. The thing the Supreme Court clearly does not know, though, is that the people, united, will never be defeated. Women will never, ever be defeated. Women will not let this stand. Please, I urge you all, I urge you, please get involved. Step up, show up, join Indivisible, work for pro-choice candidates. This November, our lives are depending on you, all of us. If you don't get out there and vote, if we don't get those people elected, we are sunk, y'all. We're sunk. So what we're going to do today, we're going to have several speakers, and then we're going to have an open mic because I think people have some things to say from their hearts. So our first speaker is Judy Stahl. Judy is the chair of the Democratic Women in the Prescott area, former Arizona congressional candidate, and she's got a few things to say. Hi, everybody. I'm so glad that you are all here because this is a tough day. This is a rough day. I did not see this coming when I was 13 in 1973 and became a woman, and I never had to worry about having my rights taken away during my fertile years. This is an all-out war against women by a small minority of people in this country who are very good at manipulating the system and scaring people with fearful, inaccurate statements. So, what do we do? What do we do when we live in a world where liars with no morality, with no ethics, with no care, concern, or empathy are running the show? Vote them out. We gotta vote them out. And what we've got, the only things that we've really got is love and truth. And truth is what's going to save us all. So we must speak the truth everywhere we go. We must stand for the truth in the grocery store, at the car place, getting your car fixed, out at the park, in the lake, wherever we are, we have to be the stand that everyone deserves to make the decisions about their own body. You know, we live in a place that it's a beautiful place. I've lived here for 30 years and raised my children here. We have wonderful people here, many of whom have not wanted to step up because they're not interested in conflict. And I understand that. It's not as much a concern for me. It's just the way I am. But I understand that about people. But we are at a point in time where there is no room for people to not take that stand. We need to show that we are the majority. Now, we may not be the majority in terms of philosophical thought around here, or we may not be the loudest people around here, the most bullying people around here. But we know that in this nation, in the United States of America, we are by far the majority. 62.3% of Americans are on record saying they want to. So here's the thing. Even though at this point in time, those in authority have taken this step, we must continue to simply speak the truth, stand for the truth, and make sure that we don't back down. So please, do not be fearful. Do not be fearful around here. We must stand up, we must greet our neighbors, and even though it's very stormy right now, the sun will rise, the sun will come out, the rainbow will come out, and we will be here. We will not leave these young women behind. We will not. And the very last thing that I want to say is that I deeply appreciate all the good men in our world who stand up for women's rights. We need you. We need you to stand up. We need you to speak up. We need you to have our backs. And so I'm going to stop now. I'll tell you, Democratic women are here. We're going to do what we can. Prescott Indivisible is here. They're going to do what they can. We've got people from many faith groups. We've got AAUW here today. We've got the Yavapai County Democratic Party. We've got candidates who are standing for the right thing and making change right here where it must happen. So thank you for being here. Please stay connected and let's love each other and speak the truth. And that doesn't mean that truth has to be like, oh, I like your shirt. No, the truth can be that Clarence Thomas should resign. The Supreme Court, I heard it said today on somewhere, the Supreme Court, my ass. Thank you, Judy.
Also, Legal Women Voters is here. Legal Women Voters is a nonpartisan group. They have been a nonpartisan group since their inception, but they understand human rights. So our next speaker today is Whitney Williams. She is a local young woman who has a lot to say.
Hello, my name is Whitney Williams. I'm president of Prescott Education Association, our local teacher union, and I've worked with Prescott Indivisible for a while. I had to work really hard this morning to stay in my prefrontal cortex and not just let my amygdala take over, because I would expend too much energy crying and being upset and feeling terror. And that energy we need to save so we can sustain ourselves to make real change. Because these attacks have been coming for months and years and decades on some of our most marginalized communities. And when we're talking about women's health care, I think we need to widen the stance of who we're including in that and really talk about birthing people in general. And when a white cishet woman is able to stand in front of hundreds of people and speak my mind, there's a person of color, an LGBTQ identifying woman, someone who has a disability, a trans person who's not having this opportunity to share their unique story, and how overturning Roe v. Wade impacts those communities in ways I will never, ever, ever understand. And so when I woke up and I felt terror and I cried, I told my mother about the fact that Roe v. Wade was overturned, and her response is, well, we just need to stop having sex with men, they're gonna overturn it. And I love that, and yes, let's do it. But by that statement, we are excluding some of the groups of people who this is hurting in ways we will never understand. And so yes, tomorrow or the day after that, I won't be able to get an abortion. The way that this affects people of color, LGBTQ people, is in bodily autonomy. And this goes way more than just my ability to have an abortion. This goes to transitioning, access to public health care, to get your particular needs met. And we need to make sure that we're talking about people who are birthing people and include everyone in this narrative and this fight, because as a white person, I want to elevate those voices, and I want to use my power and lay it down for other people who are in those minority and marginalized communities to share their voice. Because we live in Prescott, and I grew up in a really white community, and as I have gotten older, I've realized I never will understand what that experience is like. And it is my job as an ally, it is my job as a cishet woman. I take on the responsibility of elevating those voices and making sure they are heard. So I challenge everyone here who is white, who is heterosexual, who is cis, who is AFAB, to make sure that you are including those marginalized groups in your narrative and working super hard to elevate those voices. Thank you, Rosemary.
Thank you, Whitney. Our next speaker now is Crystal Cathy, if I can find her. Crystal, where are you? Crystal Cathy!
I'm here!
Okay. Crystal is also a Prescott local, born here, and she's got something to say. Thank you, Rosemary.
Today is a time warp back to 1973, nearly 50 years ago, when a woman's constitutional right to an abortion was guaranteed. Today, in the year 2022, women are now stripped of their right to bodily autonomy and their very own destinies. I am outraged. I am terrified for the little girls that are raped and forced to carry a child to term. I am terrified for the women who cannot afford to travel to another state or another country to have a simple and safe procedure. I am terrified for all women who will be forced to carry a child should their contraceptives fail. I hope you can feel and understand that abortion bans will not stop them. They will only make women seek desperate measures and sometimes deadly measures to have one. We will not stop fighting for our bodily rights, taken away from us by 6 people, 6 extreme individuals with immense power, positions of power, that lied under oath that Roe was settled law. Call your senators today, tomorrow, and every day, and urge them to end the filibuster and protect women's rights, and do it now. The war on women just went nuclear, and I am here for it, and I know you are too. I want to share a poem by Justine Musk. The enemy of feminism isn't men, it's patriarchy. And patriarchy isn't men, it is a system. And women can support the system of patriarchy just as men can support the fight for gender equality. Thank you.
So you know Samuel Alito had to go back centuries to find some law that he thought might work for this. But you know what? It doesn't work for this. It's unconstitutional, what they're doing. It's absolutely unconstitutional if we're a democracy, right? If we're not a democracy, they should just freaking say so. Because they're pretending that we are, and we are not right now. So right now we have open mic. We may only be able to be here till about, speaking anyway, amplified till about 6:15. So I know Deborah Owen wants to speak.
and then just let me know if you have a few words you need to say. Just tell from your heart. This is really serious stuff.
This is, women's rights is a very important right in my personal history. Sorry, it looks like I'm gonna cry. I witnessed my mother being beaten regularly. I witnessed my mother having children she didn't want. She loved those children, but she led them with bruised faces and broken bodies. I'm telling you that this is a slippery slope. There's no going back. It is so very important that we hang on and value our individual rights, no matter what your gender, no matter what your sexual orientation is. Every bit of it is an individual choice. Individual choice. And as individuals, we can stand with each other, as I stood with my mother and took some of those blows, as I called the cops to answer the door, and the cops would say, "Young lady, this is your father's house. You can leave." No, I'm telling you, I'm in my 70s. That was not that long ago. That was not that long ago, and we thought we had Roe v. Wade under stamped and done. Well, I'm telling you, I was in my teens when that happened, and believe me, I was still bruised from my childhood experience. Do not think this is something that can be ignored, because it is just a small but powerful step to taking every fucking right you have away.
Thank you, Deborah. You all remember that the last 3 Supreme Court justices all said that Roe v. Wade was settled law, right? They all said that. So that means they lied. That means they lied, and they are supposed to be our #1 role models in the country, and they're freaking liars. Sorry. Our next speaker is a young person, Theo Ditto.
Hi, I'm Theo. I am a person of color. I am also trans. I am 17 years old and I am fucking terrified. Sorry, I'm crying.
You got this.
But I am able to look my rapist in the eye and say, "Fuck you." We should not have to be going through this. I want to introduce you to a small mutual aid organization that I've started called Prescott Eco Club. You can find us on Instagram. We're in the process of planting a mutual aid garden. I know this is a really difficult time for everyone, and hopefully in the future we'll be able to access some safer abortion pills. But yeah, so thank you.
So you know what? That's the kind of courage it's going to take. That's exactly the kind of courage we need right now. Thank you, Theo. I'm going to bring Oz up right now, another young person who has a lot to say.
Hey, I'm Oz. I have a couple important things to say about myself. I am young, I'm a high schooler, I'm trans, I'm queer, I am a first generation Hispanic. A lot of my family is from Mexico or comes from that descent. And, you know, I am an AMAB person with a uterus, and it's very important for everyone to know that I am a person. I am not just a number or a vote or, something for your own personal gain. I am a person. I get up every day and I put my pants on one leg at a time. And I go to work and I work hard and I go to school and I have dreams and I have things I want to do with my life. I am my own person and I am so important, just like everyone else is here. You look around and you don't seem to realize that every single person here has their own life story. They get up every day and they have their own routine, which is very important. And that's just, it seems to be something that politicians seem to forget. Like, we are not our own people. Like, we are numbers. We are little likes, we're little clicks, especially on, social media these days. And they need to realize that behind a screen, behind a vote, behind a number, we are all people. And we are all important. And it seems that they've forgotten that we are important. And they seem to have forgotten that our safety should be number one. We all should have the support we need. These kinds of things should be accessible and cheap, if not free. Birth control, tampons, pads, abortion, it should all be free and available. Because some people just can't do it. Some people are sick. Some people are trans. Some people know that they cannot give their child the life that they want to give them. I mean, look at me. My parents were both teenagers when they had me, and times were rough. Times are much better now, but they were rough for a long time. And I think if they had the option to not have to put their children through that, they would have. But even then, as long as it's been legal, it's still almost impossible to access. And look what they've done now! We are all people with our own stories, and they need to hear us.
We're just pausing for a moment. Well, I have a text I can read you. I got this from a 25-year-old today who I've been working with over in the Verde Valley. See if I can find it. She texted me this. Hey, I feel hopeless. I don't know how to spin this into political action. I feel devastated. They want to overturn gay marriage as well now. Abortion is banned. I know I'm supposed to, know what to do, but I truly don't know. How do I convince people to vote Democrat when this is happening with a Democratic president? So I texted back, I'm working on it. And then I texted her back and I said, the first thing we should do is take care of ourselves. I know how you feel and we have possible solutions, but they won't come until 2023. We need to make sure that we get the majority of the House and the Senate in 2022. Your vote is what's going to get their attention in November. And forget about Kristen Sinema because we don't fucking need her. Okay, sorry. Effing need her. So, anyway, just holding the mic for you, Rosie, but I just want everybody to know that there is hope, and that is the solution. And all of us together are going to make this happen in Arizona and the nation. I have bad news. We have to shut the amplification down because apparently it's illegal. It's the first I've heard of that in 11 years, but that's life. But we can yell. We can yell. But we also can't swear. So, just so you know, the next person speaking is Atlas, and Atlas is going to yell.
They will never silence us! More yelling will pull out yelling, alright? My name is Atlas. I am a non-binary transhuman with a uterus. Yeah! When I was 15 years old, I became pregnant after the first time I had sex, and I was forced to keep my child due to my parents' religious beliefs. I do thank God that I kept my son. He is now almost 14 years old and trans. He was born with a uterus as well. My son was born 15 equality and women's suffrage. We are now band together, and we are stronger than ever, and we will not be erased.
Maybe we'll be louder without the mic, huh? Yeah. This is Anna, and Anna's got something to say.
Okay. Yes, it's important to take the political route, to work hard to get the people elected that you think would support our issues. However, we must immediately begin to think of ideas and ways to support these young women. There are ways to help people get to abortions. There are ways to help people pay for them by fundraising. There are ways to do a lot of these things to make sure that abortions are still available when they need them, just as they were when I was in my 20s, before 1973.
Before I bring Ari up, please listen up. Somebody's lost their car keys. So if anybody's found some car keys, it's the most beautiful person here probably who lost his car keys. James, did you find the car keys over there? Our next speaker is Ari. Here Ari comes. Hi, sorry, I'm a little nervous. Not only did they take my right as a human being, they took my religious right. I am a bisexual Jewish woman. I am proud. In the Talmud, the Jewish Bible essentially states that life starts at the first breath. Life starts at 40 days after gestation. They took my right as a proud Jewish woman. And that is not right. But there's a silver lining. The FDA has made it permanently capable for women to get an abortion pill through the mail. There are so many websites that you can get this, and anyone who fucks with that, F's with that, will be a federal criminal. There are ways for our rights, and we will continue fighting till I get my human rights back, till everyone gets their freaking human rights back! You know what? We don't usually get so many young people at our rallies. Why do you think? This is the issue of a generation here, and it was the issue of a generation in 1973, and it is again. Next speaker is Jess.
It's Jess. I'm not one of the young ones, but I have something to say. Okay? It's gonna be short. What I have to say is that a man, first of all, I appreciate all the men who are here supporting Second thing I have to say is any man here could go and impregnate a woman every day for the next year, 365 pregnancies. And you want to regulate our bodies? I don't think so.
It's all about control. That's all it is. It's all about control. It's not about abortion or pro-life or pro-choice. It's all about control. They are controlling us.
Our next speaker, guess what, is a man.
My name is Charlie. I don't need a mic. I grew up in New York. I woke up today, my wife's tears, and a general feeling of helplessness